A single skull found in a gravel pit rewrote human evolution, and it was a lie. For 40 years, one of the most significant archaeological finds in history sat enshrined in museums, cited in textbooks, and debated in academic halls. It offered a tantalizing glimpse into our prehistoric past, a missing link that perfectly bridged ape and man. This was the Piltdown man, discovered in England, a supposed ancestor that placed the cradle of humanity firmly in Europe. Its existence shaped scientific thought, influenced public perception, and even steered research away from more promising avenues. The story began in 1912, when Charles Dawson, a solicitor and amateur archaeologist, presented fragments of a skull and a jawbone to Arthur Smith Woodward, the keeper of geology at the British Museum. Dawson claimed the finds came from a gravel pit in Piltdown, Sussex. The fragments were extraordinary. The skull appeared distinctly human, with a large brain case, while the jawbone was undeniably ape-like, complete with 2 molars that seemed to show human-like wear. This combination was precisely what many scientists of the era expected. Woodward, a highly respected figure, became convinced of its authenticity. He christened the new species Eoanthropus dawsoni or Dawson's Dawn Man. The discovery generated immense excitement, bolstering British national pride in an age of imperial competition. Yet even from the outset, some voices expressed skepticism. French paleontologist Marcellin Boule, for instance, suggested the jaw and skull simply couldn't belong to the same creature. He believed they were from a human and an ape, perhaps found coincidentally. But the prevailing sentiment, especially within the British scientific establishment, pushed back against these doubts. The Piltdown man fit a narrative, a desired evolutionary trajectory, and its discoverers were men of unimpeachable reputation. The years passed. More discoveries emerged from Africa and Asia, notably Australopithecus and Peking man which presented a very different picture of human evolution. One where the large brain developed after bipedalism, not before. These new findings directly contradicted Piltdown's narrative, where a large brain was the primary driver of human evolution. Still, Piltdown man remained a puzzle, an anomaly that stubbornly resisted integration into the emerging consensus. The key to its undoing lay in advancements in scientific dating and analysis. By the 1940s and early 50s, new techniques allowed for more precise examination of fossil remains, far beyond what was possible in 1912. In 1949, Kenneth Oakley used a fluorine absorption test on the Piltdown remains. Bones absorb fluorine from groundwater over time, so older bones should have higher fluorine content. The results were startling. The skull fragments showed a fluorine content consistent with their supposed age of 50,000 years. But the jawbone, supposedly from the same individual, had significantly less fluorine. It was much, much younger. This was the first definitive crack in the Piltdown edifice. It strongly suggested the jaw and skull were not contemporaneous. The initial skepticism of Boule, once dismissed, now gained significant weight. The final, undeniable proof came in 1953, when Joseph Weiner, Wilfrid LaGrose Clark, and Kenneth Oakley conducted a detailed re-examination. They employed more advanced techniques, including microscopic analysis of the teeth. What they found was scandalous. The teeth on the ape jawbone had been deliberately filed down to mimic human wear patterns. The enamel showed telltale signs of artificial abrasion. This was not natural wear, it was intelligent alteration. Furthermore, the bones themselves had been stained with an iron solution to make them appear older and match the color of genuine Piltdown gravel. The skull, while genuinely ancient, was human, but the jaw was unequivocally from an orangutan. The Piltdown man was a sophisticated forgery, a deliberate deception. A human skull, an orangutan jaw, meticulously altered and stained, planted in a gravel pit, and then discovered by an amateur. The revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community. A 40-year-old pillar of human evolution had crumbled, exposing a deep wound of academic credulity and a monumental fraud. But who was the perpetrator? Suspicion immediately fell on Charles Dawson. He had been the primary discoverer, and subsequent investigations revealed a pattern of other questionable finds throughout his career. Dawson had died in 1916, conveniently beyond reproach, but the evidence against him was compelling. He possessed both the knowledge and the motive, a desire for fame and recognition within the scientific world. Yet some theorized he couldn't have acted alone. Was Arthur Smith Woodward, the respected keeper of geology, somehow involved, or merely an unwitting accomplice, eager to believe in a British ancestor? Other suspects emerged over time, including Teilhard de Chardin, a Jesuit priest who was present at some of the digs, and even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, author of Sherlock Holmes, who lived nearby and had a known interest in hoaxes. The true identity of all conspirators remains a subject of academic debate. However, the consensus points strongly to Dawson as the primary architect, likely with some level of assistance or at least willful ignorance from others. The Piltdown Man hoax stands as a stark warning. It illustrates the dangers of confirmation bias, the allure of nationalistic narratives, and how easily even esteemed experts can be deceived when a discovery perfectly fits their expectations. It highlights the vital role of skepticism and rigorous, independent verification in scientific progress. 40 years of scientific blind spots, all because of a few stained bones and a cleverly